Ramaphosa has issued the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, with a formal reprimand for transporting an ANC delegation to Zimbabwe on an aircraft of the South African Air Force. The President has also ordered that the minister will not receive her salary for 3 months. The minister was on an official trip for which the President had given permission. However, he found that it was an error of judgment to use the plane to convey a political party delegation starting from the 1st of November 2020. A salary will be paid into the Solidarity Fund. Remember that fund? Which it's established to support the country's response to the coronavirus pandemic. Now, the President also directed the minister to make sure that the ANC reimburses the state for the costs of the flight to Harare. Let's get some reaction now. I want to bring in Cobus Mare from the Democratic Alliance. Mr. Mare, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Good morning to your viewers.
So a formal reprimand. The minister docked her salary for, I understand, 3 months. Is it a proportionate response to the minister's action?
Absolutely not. One must remember that she has transgressed it in a similar way in the past. So she's call it a serial offender. And certainly this reprimand is like a slap on the wrist, and it's actually an insult to taxpayers. And it seems like the President uses fantastic words and gestures, but he seems to not be serious when it comes to his ANC executives and colleagues to really hold them accountable. I mean, this is an insult, and this is by far not enough. And this is just, getting off scot-free, and we cannot allow this. It seems like a weakness of the President.
What would be enough, sir?
Well, most certainly, and that's not because we have got a vendetta against the minister. In fact, I get along with her very well. But she has now proven to us over a time that, it is maybe time that she gets replaced as the Minister of Defense. She has not only brought in the fiance or the girlfriend, Burundian girlfriend of her late son a couple of years ago, unlawfully and unauthorized. She has also, in the Collins Khoza case, thrown her own generals under the bus. And the Commander-in-Chief must stand up and must show that the integrity of South Africa is secured and the Constitution is secured. And by letting her off scot-free is just not good enough. I mean, that amount of money is a gesture and is not a punitive action, in our opinion, at all.
Do you think that this, as the President says, error of judgment is a fireable offense on its own?
Well, it is certainly, if you read the President's own statement and what he refers to this error of judgment and how she has basically, not complied with her oath of office, and that it was improper in her position to do things like this, and that it is not consistent with her office that she is holding. Now, if anybody in any other country or in any organization was found basically guilty by the President of dereliction of their duties, they would have been fired. Now, the President has to act, and he has to show South Africa that he is serious about curbing violence and corruption and abuse of state resources. This is most certainly, not a way. I mean, her 3-month salary is a fraction of the cost that has been wasted. And I mean, it just gives an example to anybody in lower ranks that, they can get away with a slap on the wrist and there's no real consequences and accountability for failures.
Mr. Mare, I remember that the DA did some calculations with regards to the money that needs to be paid back by the ANC officials. What sort of sum did you arrive at, and how did you arrive at that calculation in terms of that money to be paid back?
Well, what we have done is we have asked quotes from reputable companies that chartered similar aircraft to Harare, and that sum is only for the charter itself is 260,000 rand. Then you must still add the landing cost and the parking cost on the other side and the entertainment on board and the staff on board. So it will run into hundreds of thousands of rands without any doubt. Obviously, what we have said is that we require the Minister of Finance and National Treasury to come clear with us and show us how they are doing the calculations for them to repay the money. Because to only, end up with a couple of thousand rand will just be another slap in the face of hard-earning and hard-working taxpayers.
Reportedly,
there's no doubt, total waste of money.
Reportedly, the DA was going to lay criminal charges against the ANC officials who took this trip. Have you?
Yes, I personally have laid the charges at my local police station. I have received a case number. I've received confirmation that it was transferred to the Littleton police station with a case number at the Littleton police station for official investigation. There's no doubt that they have transgressed quite a number of laws, and the president has now confirmed this as well. So there's no doubt that that there were serious transgressions taking place. And obviously, every one of us is supposed to be equal before the law, and it applies to everybody. So the minister and whoever in the ANC is not above the law, and we will certainly demand and drive this issue much further. We obviously hope that the Auditor General becomes involved and assist us to get, to the bottom of this. And obviously, SCOPA will play a major role. And we hope that other political parties will also support us in this drive to get to accountability. I think this is a unfortunate thing for the ANC, and I have taken note of the ANC's whip in the study group that has stated that no laws were transgressed, but he was obviously now basically told by the president himself. That there were serious transgressions.
Just before I let you go, Mr. Murray, exactly who have you laid charges against?
Everybody that was on board, all the ANC officials, whether they were members of government or only ANC officials. So all of them we have laid charges, and then we have opened it up to anybody else whose names we haven't got yet. But that can be added at a later stage. So all those so-called important people from the ANC has been listed in this official criminal charges that we have laid.
Mr. Murray from the Democratic Alliance, thank you very much indeed for your time, sir. Be well.
Thank you, and a very nice Sunday morning to everybody.
All right. Let's get more reaction now from the Inkatha Freedom Party. Mkhuleko Hlengwa joins us now live via the telephone. Sir, thank you very much indeed for coming on. Your reaction to this reprimand?
Well, good morning, Glenn. Good morning to the viewers. I think the fundamental principle which has to be established first is the president has put the country in a great difficulty in that he has issued a reprimand and sanctioned the minister to dock her salary for 3 months without public scrutiny of the report or explanation that the president had sought. Because that was to benchmark the president.
Mr. Hlengwa, you still there? We're just having some issues with... We lost you a bit. Please, if you could just repeat your last point.
Well, Ben, I'm saying the fundamental issue is that in order for us to see this as credible action on the part of the president, we need the president to release the explanation or report that was submitted by Minister Mapisa-Nqakula to him, which he had sought a few weeks ago. Because we need to be able to benchmark the president's action against what the minister said. Because ultimately, the president here himself is in the dock, both as head of state and as president of the ANC, given the fact that he sanctioned the minister's trip to Zimbabwe in an official capacity, and on the flip side of the coin, the president himself was party to the decision of the ANC-NEC to send a delegation with ZANU-PF on a party political agenda. And therefore, we cannot at this point in time, be satisfied that the president's sanctions against the minister are sufficient in the absence of the country being taken into confidence as to the exact set of circumstances that the minister has explained to the president. And we need to know who is implicated in that report, where did the minister get her directive from, and who actually within the SANDF was party to this, and who in the ANC. Therefore, the president seems to have jumped quite a number of steps to arrive at sanctioning, which of course must happen. But the absence of transparency in the process actually lends no credibility to what the president has done, because the minister cannot alone would have been the one responsible for such a drastic violation of the Constitution, which has been a deliberate part in the ANC to ignore the separation of party and state.
Do you think, in terms of a proportionate response to the minister's action, 3 months, docking of salary for 3 months is appropriate or enough? The DA says she should be maybe fired, considering everything that has gone on. What do you reckon?
Well, I'm saying it's difficult to gauge the extent of the credibility of this sanction in the absence of us knowing what's the content of what the minister admitted herself to. But by judging by what the president's statement has said, obviously the minister has been in violation of the Constitution, and there's a dereliction of duty, which is a serious indictment on her part. And in any normal function of democracy, the minister herself would have stepped down. In the open letter to the president some 11 days ago, I made that point to the president to say that he must note this, because at the very heart of the matter is the fact that we continue to see the ANC conflating the party and state, and the use of state resources for partisan agendas is fundamentally the rot which the president should be dealing with. And therefore, the sanction that he issues against the minister seems to tolerate that and waters down the very real breaches of the Constitution. And so the president is not doing himself any favors by subjecting us to speculation. And so the challenge to the president is that release the report.
Right.
If he's confident about the course of action that he has taken, let the public judge for itself that the president has acted consistently. Because the minister alone is not responsible for this, and that fact has to be established. And her report, is fundamental view of the IFP, would have gone that far to explain where she received the instructions and directions from for this kind of constitutional breach.
So you are saying that Parliament and the nation have a right to scrutinize this report. The Democratic Alliance has laid charges against that delegation that went to Harare. You in support of that course of action?
Well, I mean, it's part of the multi-pronged approach which has to be employed in dealing with this kind of systemic corruption and abuse of the Constitution. And the Joint Standing Committee on Defense in Parliament is duty-bound to scrutinize this particular set of circumstances, so that we can be able to arrive at determining the exact cost which the ANC has committed to paying. Because, Blaine, you will recall that even in this past week, the ANC has been digging in its heels, defending the minister, and therefore the apology and the so-called humbling itself before the nation has been thrown out the window. There is no sense of taking responsibility, and a financial solution may be welcome, but it's half the extent which needs to be done. There needs to be serious consequences that have to be meted out, because the Constitution has been flouted, and the president is lending this matter to unnecessary public scrutiny with a lack of decisiveness by actually dealing with all the persons implicated in government and within the ANC.
Nkululeko Hlengwa from the IFP, we thank you very much indeed. For your input. Be well. General Holomisa, you with us?
Yes.
So you're live on air. I just wanted to get your take, reprimand. All right, it seems that we're having a bit of an issue with General Bantu Holomisa. Let's just try one more time. General Bantu Holomisa, you're live on the agenda. Can you hear me?
Okay.
All right, so now it seems that we'll try to redial the general to get his take with regards to this as it stands. So there was a statement issued yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa reprimanding Minister of Defense for that Zimbabwe trip. And the statement goes on to say that the President has issued the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula with a formal reprimand for conveying an African National Congress delegation to Zimbabwe on an aircraft of the South African Air Force. And the President further sanctioned the minister by imposing a salary sacrifice on the minister's salary for 3 months, starting from the 1st of November 2020. I understand General Bantu Holomisa is back with us from the UDM. Sir, we do appreciate you staying on the line for us. We do apologize for keeping you that long, but let's just get your reaction, firstly, with regards to this formal reprimand.
Well, we reject that reprimand altogether.
Why?
Elsewhere, Minister Mapisa would have been shown the door. But just because here we don't put the interest of the country first, we always protect the individuals who are in the offices, who are ministers. So you will recall that it is the same minister who gave a lift to her boyfriend's girl or girlfriend's boyfriend from Congo. The Gupta Waterkloof Air Force scandal took place under her watch. The assassination of Khosa, of Alexandra, and her conflicting statements is there for everybody to see.
So
she has been an embarrassment in that department, and the sooner she goes, the better. I'm sure there are many competent ANC MPs who can be ministers of defense.
The President has called this an error of judgment. You saying it's a fireable offense?
That is his own opinion. I've just given you the UDM's point of view. She doesn't deserve to be in that department as we speak.
The Democratic Alliance has laid criminal charges against the delegation, the ANC delegation that went to Zimbabwe. You in support of that course of action?
No. I don't support that. All I'm interested in is why do we allow a minister to abuse her power and use the state resources for private visits? Sorry.
The report, do you think that Parliament as well as the nation have a right to scrutinize this report that the President relied on?
Yes, I'm sure the relevant portfolio committees would do that, especially the the Defense Joint Standing Committee on Defense, as well as the Public Portfolio on Accounts, SCOPA. So, but as you know, it's not going to go anywhere.
I just want to read a portion of the statement, General Holomisa. You obviously read the statement. Just for the purpose of our viewers, if they haven't, the President found the minister did not act in the best interest of good governance as required by the Executive Members Code.
But why is he keeping him there if he did that?
Well, this is where I was going to go to.
There is a prima facie evidence for him to have shown him the door, shown her the door. Why pussyfooty?
What measures needs to be put in place? Or do you think that, in the first place, that there are appropriate measures in order for recourse if this kind of thing happens again? But do you think anything needs to be done differently in order to prevent such offenses from taking place?
The problem is that this minister has been abusing those resources of the defense force now and again. Why must we give her another chance? No. This is a joke. I'm serious. Seriously.
So, in terms of the UDM, how are you going to take this fight forward? Will you be appealing to get, first of all, to look at that report and then figure out your next step?
No, I'm not interested in wasting my energy. The president must account to the country. If he says he's going to fight corruption, and then he protects his ministers, who else is going to believe him in what he's trying to do?
Right.
Because this is clear corruption, abuse of power.
All right. Bantu Holomisa, General Bantu Holomisa from the UDM, saying this is an abuse of power. Sir, we thank you very much indeed for your time. All right, we lost him there towards the end, but General Bantu Holomisa there from the United Democratic Movement. Just basically, I was just reading part of what the statement had to say with regards to what the president had to say. He found that the minister did not act in the best interest of good governance as required by the Executive Members Code. Goes on to say, failed to adhere to legal prescripts warranting care in the use of state resources, acted in a way that is inconsistent with her position as required by the code. The Democratic Alliance, I think the IFP also wants to see this report. They reckon that Parliament, as well as the nation, have a right to scrutinize this report. General Bantu Holomisa says, basically, he wants the minister out. Abuse of power, he says. What is your thoughts at the agenda_SABC? Is the sanction by the president proportionate response to the minister's action at the agenda_SABC? All right, let's get to some other news now.